there all. Today we'll be looking at something that I haven't run in quite some while. The Su-100Y. It is a T6 premium Russian tank destroyer. And as you can clearly see, it is a very, very large target. And you have no camo coefficient. Well, I say that. The camo rating is trash. So you need to play it at range, because you're squishy, you've got a large hitbox. So yes, when you get detected, you will die, and in short order. But it's got a lot of things that make up for this. Now before we get into position, we're going to pause for just a second and take a look at Starshield. Now, as I had mentioned, we're going to stay outside view range and within drawers, so we're going to go where most tank destroyers go, admittedly. So I've got that TD icon on the map, because we can hit all the way down here, just to the right of that heavy tank icon. So if they're poking, we can shoot it, or if there's any heavies down here, that we can nail them as well. Now looking at the rest of the map, you see this huge red blob. This is an area the hill can cover, so if your allies or the enemy are up top there, you have to be especially careful of the white zones inside of this, because you will be out in the open with very little cover. Now the reason I didn't just make all of it white for the red is that the hill can cover is these areas in between the zones. You've got rocks, you've got bushes, some semblance of camo, to where you may be safe travelling along here from hill, or at the very least you're not going to die moving from position to position. Now with that in mind, let's get back into the match at hand and make use of that sitting back in sniping position, which admittedly, this is why I don't play TDs a lot. Whilst you can get easy damage off to me, it's not the most fun thing to do. Now watch this full 3601H. Just for the draw range and outside view, so he's got no means of spotting us, so we don't die. Now we've taken this corner, well, the M6 and the 3601H on our team anyway, and they're pushing up. And now we can shoot this R1, and again, you will see this line, that's view range, the outside one's draw range, so he cannot see us after we fire. That is something you're going to have to bear in mind with this tank very often. And there we go, popping the R1. And those things have relatively good armor on them. These Su-100Y, as we'll see later, well, if it would show up on the bloody UI, has 196 pen. Even in a tier 8 match, this thing does exceedingly well, which despite my best efforts to show all of you, with the time I had, I ran 4 or 5 matches, not a single one was a tier 8. Because I wanted to show how well it can do in a tier 8, and admittedly, being a tier 6, this isn't exactly a fair fight, but I figured at the very least popping the R1, you get a sense of the penetration on this thing. And as you can see as we take this hill, it doesn't exactly have the best power to weight ratio. It's a brick. It's his square as a brick, it acts like it's pulling a ton of bricks going uphill, and the gun hits like a ton of bricks, and this poor little Matilda's gonna find that out firsthand. If you like one-shotting tanks that are a tier or 2 below you, you will love this thing. It's nearly criminal. Now we saw a light tank going back up to camp, and we don't have anyone covering it aside from the Matilda. Actually, wait a minute. Artillery, yeah, Rudy's probably got it, and at 36 on age is asking for help. So we're going to have a quick look over here. Not that we've got the range to do it, though we'll get into that later. So we're going to go over here and help him out. Because AT2s, well, they're rapid targets, but this thing's got 196 pens, so we'll make quick work of him. Oh, Matty, Eddie's got a little buddy. This is something I also want to stress. Pop him, now watch this. Never be afraid to ram something with the Su-100Y. It goes up to 35, and you've got 65 tons behind you. No, that's not going to be the best at ramming a heavy tank, but if you've got a medium in your sights, go ahead and give him a little bit of a love tap. Because you're probably going to do about 100, 200, possibly 300 damage if they're going into you. Though you've got to be very mindful that you're actually going to kill the bugger whilst you do it, otherwise you're going to be stuck with your slow traverse, and that's not going to be a very fun match for you, and it'll be fun for the medium when he circle jerks you. Right, let's go deal with that light tank that's back on base, because no offense to the steward, but he's not exactly full hit points, and that Lush should be able to kill him without an issue if he's got the clip gun, which I actually don't know if he does, but we're not going to take any chances on that. And here you see me trying to lead the bloody target, and we're going to let RNG decide. As it did. Right, so now that the light tank is gone, we know that they've got a KB-1S and a Skarder up north. And as you just saw, we loaded up one of the premium shells, and this is a premium shell I love in particular because it's rewarding for using it. It's got less penetration, so you have to be very conscious of what you're shooting. But it has a higher yield alpha damage. 171 pen compared to the standard shell's 196, but with an alpha damage of 510 versus 440. And as you're going to see, that makes this thing a little bit even more rude when you're shooting at lower tier targets. Because now that we've got 510, we can easily pop off this KB-1S. But first, well, it's out here, and we can't let them live. Now we'll go after the KB-1S, loading up another one of those higher yield shells. 480, and bye-bye. It's so mean. In the end, accuracy on this gun I'm finding to be rather accurate as well, despite being a 130mm gun on it. Gun handling's not all that great, but as always we'll have a look at that after a bit. And Matilda 4's probably got the Skarder. Doubtful we're going to get over there in time, because, yeah, again, 35 kph top speed, this isn't going to be the quickest TD out there. It's quick enough to push with a team of heavies, but if you need to get out of dodge, well, you're probably going to get drafted and shot off trying to get out of there. As we trundle along trying to find these last 3 artillery. Though I must stress again, this thing is a fat target. It is a huge square hitbox of no armor and no camo. So at least at the beginning of the match, damn, missed a shot. You're going to understate range. You can brawl with it, but just make it a point of you're trading shots with a vehicle that you know that's got quite a bit less alpha than you. Because he will pen, and you don't exactly have heavy tank hit points close, but at the same time, best make use of your hit points when it makes the most sense. Now with that gone, let's go take a look at that after battle. So, the Su-100Y, as far as credited in 74k, though it was an exemplary match at 3200 damage, though I believe my average damage on this, at least with the matches I played on the day that I had to go at those few matches I had time for, were around the 2000 ballpark. The majority being around 16 some change K credited in on premium. 74k though on a good match, that's rather decent for a T6 premium. And I believe even on a match where I had, because it was a very rapid match, everyone was going at yellowing, 3 shots worth of damage, which you will do rather reliably, and I think it was around 50k. It might have been 46, 48. But that's very good for a tier 6, so right out the gate, this is a good credit earner, at least in my experience. Now going back into that 3200 damage, yeah, tier 6 match. If you get a tier 6 match, you're nearly guaranteed to print money with this thing, unless you go out and try and brawl a KB2 and he high rolls you with a derp gun, and well, you're kind of hosed. But yeah, credit earning, penetration, looking at that. Shots fired, 11, hits, 9, pens, 9. Well, it's tier 6 again, you're going to pen everything. But yeah, credit earning, darn good vehicle. So with that in mind, let's take a look at... Well, I was going to show you Tank Inspector, or better yet, I'll go ahead and show you. Yeah, it's on acid. Again. So instead, we're going to be using Tanks GG, which is probably better since I know a lot of you haven't managed to get Tank Inspector to work, or you've been dealing with the same problems I have, and it's all trippy with the armor model representations. Now, we're comparing the Su-100Y to the Su-100, makes sense, same playstyle, the Jackson and the Jagdpanzer IV. At the gate, you'll notice 1700 DPM. That's a bit less than the Su-100 and the Jackson. And the Jagdpanzer IV, well, it's the Jagdpanzer IV. It's got low pen on it and low alpha, so yeah, we'll ignore that. But to make up for that lower DPM, slightly lower DPM, you've got this excellent penetration and alpha damage, significantly better than the American and German counterparts, and better still on top of the Su-100, which was already good, which makes this tank competitive even at a tier 9. So you've got a slower load, but good pen, good alpha. Now, looking at the gun handling on it, the exact same aim time as the Su-100, with the 122, worse than the Jackson Jagdpanzer IV, to be expected. But what's not expected is this 0.3 accuracy. That is much better than the Su-100, and nearly as good as the Jackson and Jagdpanzer IV, making this thing very good at sniping at range, which you need to make use of if at all possible. But you've got 5 degrees gun depression, well less, well, much less than the Jackson, and less even compared to the Su-100. So no peaking ridges. Well, if you can help it at any rate. Top speed of 35, slower than all of its counterparts, but it's still quick enough to keep pace with heavy tanks, so you're not going to be flanking, but you can keep pace. 14 to 1 power to weight ratio, as you saw, taking ourselves at 12, maybe 15. Bit lumbering, but not so painful that it's anywhere near the T95. And a traverse speed on the whole of 30. It's par for the course compared to most CDs, with the exception of the British, obviously, but it's quick enough to where heavy tanks most likely not going to flank you. A medium probably still will, but hopefully you won't be in that position. Whole armour, as I said, that's not going to be doing you any favours. And it's not just that it's 60 all round, which is already worse than, well, frontally especially, but all the other vehicles, because not only is it 60, it's slab-sided and very flat. But to make up for that, you've got 700 hit points, well above all the other three we're looking at, and especially above the Su-100. So you've got nearly tier 6 heavy tank hit points, which you can make use of. Now, one interesting thing, this tank has a very strong engine and ammo rack, which means you're probably only going to need to waste your repair kit on the tracks, which is good. So you're not going to be constantly getting your track repaired and going, crap bugger, just hit me the ammo rack and your hose for the rest of the match, which is good to see, especially for a tank destroyer with a long reload. Now, last thing of note, as far as the stats are concerned, 350 view range, that's fairly much on par with the rest of the lot, but look at that camo rating. I joked about it at the beginning. This thing is horrid. That is near E100 levels of camo. So with that low, well not low, but low compared to mediums, that low view range with a complete lack of camo, make certain you've got someone spotting for you. I hate to say that, but that's, you're going to have to make certain, because it's going to be hard pressed to spot for yourself. And apparently Tanks GG thinks that the Su-100 has no camo. We're going to ignore that. So, last thing I wanted to show you within Tanks GG is this gun traverse. Fully off to one side, you will not be peeking round corners to shoot, because not only does that gun not extend that far out to the side, you've got a centre-mounted casement. So if you can help it, don't go peeking, shooting round corners, because someone's going to track you first, and that's not a position you want to get stuck in. So there's a picture sort of thing, a small picture looking at this vehicle, or summaration rather. If you like tank destroyers with good alpha, good pen, and good accuracy, you'll love this thing outright. If you want a premium that's good at making money, yeah, well, depending on your play style, if it fits the bill with what I've laid out here, it'll do well by you. And lastly, is it fun to play? Well, I think it is. You can do decent at a tier 8. Tier 6, it is literally... Ouch, zoomed in too far. Hit the screen. It is criminal. You will nearly reliably one-shot tier 5 heavies, 2 4s. Yes, it is very, very mean. Ah, yes, before I forget. Equipment. I think this is what fits it best. Vents Class 3, just to help all the stats all round. Reload, aim time, all that. Gun rammer, well, long reload, you're gonna need it. If you use a gun rammer, slap it on there. And then gun lane drive, that's just the standard for Russian vehicles. Though if you want to spot for yourself, if you must do it, replace the vents with binocular telescope, because that camo net's really not going to be doing you that much of a favour since your base camo's already garbage. But yeah, with that said, thank you all very much for watching as always. My apologies on not having a video out for a good 2.5 weeks or so. Had matters to tend to and all that, so hopefully we can get back to a bit more of a regular basis, and I hope you guys found this entertaining, if not informative. You guys take care.